What's up, YouTubers? Tonight we're going to take a look at the Tempest knives Fractus. Fractus meaning broken or shattered. It generally references clouds or cloud patterns. I guess, I don't know what those would be. But, that makes sense insofar as Tempest knives, right? So, let's just go from tip to tail on this knife, and we're going to talk about why I haven't done I'm not going to do a full review. Actually, I'll tell you right now, I'm selling this piece, Nick. This is an excellent knife, I can tell you. I've just handled it minimally today, run it through some basic paces, and so this is going to be kind of a first and last impressions from tip to tail. And then, like I said, we'll talk about alternatives and why I'm going to went ahead and decided to move this knife along. So this is an S90V 3.5-inch blade, super steel. It's got a hole deployment for front side, back side, and this kind of little partial fuller there. So very handy. It has a nice little choil for the finger for choke up position. Excellent there. And the backward position is fantastic too. This blade is a 0.11 blade stock, so amazingly thin. In fact, it's essentially the same as this TW Price Dawn. And so it just is not cut. This one is a full flat grind. This one is a, I don't know, 4/5 saber height grind up to this nice flat zone, and it's just very thin blade stock. It cuts amazingly well. So that's we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. So great blade stock, beautiful satin blade. It's got there. The jimping is excellent in the back position for your thumb. In the forward position, when you go up onto the choke up, you got this excellent there. And if you happen to be in the back position and you want to use that for guiding a sort of like a draw cut, really, really good. The blade is excellent. The action is fantastic. So it's really where it's at is on the backside flick for me. It still absolutely works from the thumb side. Just I can't do it as well, primarily because this isn't overly sharp. It's got kind of a nice smoothness into that hole. And so sometimes my thumb slips out. I've worn my thumb down over the years, but the finger on the backside, spidey flick, nope, never failed on that. So the action is excellent. The frame, this is a frame lock with carbon fiber inlays, and the carbon fiber on this side serves as an over travel stop for the lock side. You notice I love the cutout. This is very much like Brian Nadeau designs, where it's not just one big square cutout. It's got a few little bits and pieces to it. So I kind of really like that. Excellent. The pocket clip is fully reversible. It mounts on the top here, and it can go to the left-handed side. As far as myself, I was not able to flick it left-handed, primarily because my thumb is putting just so little pressure on the frame here. I imagine there's a way to, but I can absolutely flick it out with the thumb side there. So it is a fully ambidextrous knife, at least in terms of one context. And I'm sure there's a way to find where I could put my thumb maybe up there. I just, again, for something that I'm actually moving on to somebody else, I'm not gonna try to struggle with this. It is a T10 at the pivot, and then the body screw, which goes in through this backspacer, that is a T6. And also the pocket clip swaps over there. It has excellent texturing. If you kind of take a look, hopefully those lines show through there. There you go. Yeah, good lighting. So it provides. It's actually very beautiful texturing on milled out on the titanium, and in addition to that, it kind of gives some good grip. It is a contoured, but still fairly thin. So we can kind of look at this one. In fact, I'll put it up next to the Dawn. And the Dawn is definitely a little bit wider, a decent bit wider. And so that's kind of a small one that, competes with a kind of a bug out in terms of size of the blade and so forth. In fact, let's jump into, I think we've covered everything. I kind of like, the weighting of it is excellent. It's 4.2 ounces for the knife. Very solid for a 3.5-inch blade. Yeah, this is the real deal. And ready for this? This is a $205 knife. New, at least when I pre-ordered. I don't know, next batch there's no way it's going to be that inexpensive. It's just maybe it could be, but the one and only drawback that I can even see about this, and this is on, like I said, just kind of an hour use, is that for myself I would have liked to have the milling pattern go on this pocket clip, But if you were to reverse it over, it would have gone crisscross, perpendicular to that one. But honestly, I wouldn't really care. It would basically be in your pocket, deep carry. And so even forming a crisscross pattern versus the milling, I still would have just liked that. That's the only complaint I have, is that this one is just, it's got a nice bead blast to it. It functionally works great, but I just would have liked that. That's it in terms of, like I said, yeah, S90V steel. I don't know about the heat treat. I assume pretty good. Oh, the OEM is Concept Knives. And boy, I got to tell you, an excellent knife. So the reason that I'm moving it along, or feel okay moving along, is what I like about this is that I could probably just move some of these others along and keep this one, but I come to love those, and so let me go through them in terms of like some maybe comparables. $205. So this is the Babe Modern Design. It's Stunner, and again, in terms of kind of the some of the cues and lines that I liked about it, was that this one has inlays, so it lightens out the titanium using the outside, and then carbon fiber inlays, and this one does it as well. And this one has a little bit of texture. This one has, I won't say it's not fully textured, but I do like the fact that it's not super smoothed out, that it provides just a little bit of texturing, but yet it's still beautiful. Beta Modern Designs, $250. Again, that's made by Kubi. And very similar. This is like, I don't know, 3.6 ounces or something, a little bit lighter, but it's definitely milled out both inside and out. And this one has a hollow ground, but it's thicker blade stock, so they cut fairly similarly. I talked about the TW Price design, Dawn, little bit shorter blade, well, a lot of bit shorter blade. Let me go ahead and move this one out of there. But if you kind of take a look at the grind is essentially the same height. It's the same blade stock. It's going to perform the same. The only thing you're going to have is possibly this is going to catch on something. Excellent design there, by the way. So that's really good. The Dawn is $300. Again, much more. Next one is, again, very similar in terms of it has the whole deployment for the multi-deployment, but it does happen to be a top flipper as well. And that's the Sharp by Design, designed by Brian Nadeau, the Apex. Very similar. Again, it's just thicker blade stock. It does have aluminum inlays. It's a frame lock, titanium. And, so for myself, I was like, Brian Nadeau is probably one of my top 3 designers of all time. Absolutely. And that knife is $375. And then the last one is this. I don't know. I didn't pay $800. These are like $800 now. This is a non-flipper Conigarius. But in terms of the kind of cutting behavior, this one does have come down a little bit thinner because it does have a hollow grind, and then it has some of that famous super smooth. And it's the Arius is absolutely excellent. Fits in the hand, but like I said, this would be unacceptable. $200. That goes for $800 now, so you could buy 4 of these for the price of one of those in terms of kind of a new one. And these last 2, these were both these are like 4.6 and 4.8 ounces, respectively. I think they're in excess, and so the 4.2. This is like a Goldilocks sort of EDC with a decent sized blade, decent enough thickness out to the edge there. That this one is just almost a can't go wrong knife. The one thing I will say that did happen is after about 50 openings, there is just a little bit of pivot walk on that one. So I'm going to leave it to the new owner to put some blue Loctite in there, and I will just snug it back up. But after about 50, it does do a little bit of pivot walk, and you can see that it moves off center. But as you just tighten that up the slightest bit, it goes back to full, perfectly centered. So what more to say about this? The designer, Casey Spiron, who runs Tempest Knives. Excellent. You can tell that this was kind of somebody who has handled, probably about 500,000 different knives, who has thought of all the things and the various components that I saw in those others. I was like, oh, this brings them all together. So, in short, goodbye to the Fractus, and but hello. Hopefully, Nick, peace again to you. This is anybody who's got this or a future that this comes out. The Fractus is an absolute champion of a knife, and for the price, just ridiculous. You know, this is a ridiculously good, well-made knife by Concept. So that's what I got to say about this. Hope this was of use. If not interesting, I appreciate the like and subscribe. Have a great day. Take care.